Snow moving out for many, but another shot of winter weather potentially on down the road. When and where in today's video. Welcome in, folks. Happy Veterans Day it is, so let's immediately start with that. If you are a veteran watching the video, we appreciate you. We appreciate your sacrifice and all that you've done for us. Obviously, that is a big thing to celebrate today is you, so we appreciate that here right off to start the video. But we've got a lot of weather to talk about, folks. We've had a very busy couple of days. We had that shot of cold, that shot of snow, and in fact, you can even see next to me, this is some of that snow, and sure enough, believe it or not, this video I took in Charlotte, North Carolina yesterday on November 10th. So what an early start to winter we've had for many of us. You can see the snow flying around. Quite a festive scene yesterday as I was able to capture. But the question is, when is it coming back? And that's something that I think we need to iron out, but I'll give you a general idea in today's video of when we could potentially get back to more of this winter-like weather while we put it on hold for just a little while. Now, if you're new to the channel, welcome. My name's Gerald. I'm a meteorologist at WCCB Charlotte. If you haven't already, go ahead and like the video, subscribe, and hit the bell for the latest notifications. We've had a lot of growth on the channel over the past week tracking this pattern, so I appreciate everyone that's new. If you are new, let me know where you're watching from. Always good to gauge that. Also, let me know how much snow everyone got out of this pattern, and for some of us, it is still snowing up into portions of the Northeast. All right, let's go ahead and start breaking things down. Like I said, this is video from Charlotte, North Carolina yesterday, specifically UNC Charlotte. If you're familiar with the area, I took this right on campus, so you can definitely see the snow flying around, and it was blowing, folks. We had a surprise little meso-low form basically right over the city, and it really whipped the winds around and got a very quick burst of even some heavier snowfall rates. Now, we had very little accumulation, but some of us did get a dusting out of this. Just a very festive thing. In fact, we even had snowfall into the Virginia Beach area. Northeastern North Carolina had measurable snow yesterday. So just a very unique, interesting kind of start to winter here. And you can see it. This is the observed snowfall so far for this season. Got absolutely pounded into the Midwest over the past couple of days. Some folks up there seeing more than a foot of snow into northern Indiana, western Michigan. We had big snowfall totals into the mountains of West Virginia, down to the Smokies. We've had a lot of snow into the interior Northeast, thanks to some of that lake effect snow as well. So yeah, a very early start to winter. Remember, folks, it's only November 11th, so not unheard of for some of these areas to see snow, but it is pretty unheard of for some of the folks in the Carolinas that saw it. We had the earliest snow ever recorded in Myrtle Beach yesterday. Florence, South Carolina. Now, granted, it was just flurries, but still, flurries November 10th is a big deal for folks that far south. So is it a sign of things to come? Well, I don't think so over the next little bit, as we are beginning to see this big trough kind of begin to now move out of the eastern U.S., still up into the Northeast where we've got cold weather and some of that snow today. But for a lot of us, unfortunately, we're going to start to see a bit of a warming trend, at least unfortunate if you're a fan of the cold weather. But before we get there, we do have some snow already ongoing still up into the Northeast. We've even got snow into Western Mass, Connecticut. I've had some flurries up into northern New Jersey today. Much of Pennsylvania State College getting some snow squalls out of this pattern. Michigan still seeing snow. Maine getting in on the action. But as I zoom out, you can see the rest of the United States a lot clearer than it was just 24 hours ago. All right, let's start by breaking down the near term. Let me show you how much longer this snow is going to last. And then we're really going to spend the rest of the video talking about what's to come and when it may end up back in the eastern U.S. As I mentioned, we've still got snow flying up into portions of the Northeast today, and we will continue to see that over the next 48 hours or so. Let's time it out for you. So this is this evening. You can see we've, like I said, got snow basically where I showed you on radar. Going to continue into the Buffalo area, up into the Finger Lakes, upstate New York. Could even see a quick little burst of snow tonight, overnight. Don't rule it out. Potentially getting as far south as maybe flurries in Philadelphia, potentially down into northern New Jersey, the Hudson Valley of New York. And then, yeah, overnight tonight, maybe a quick little burst of some light snow, even as early or as late as tomorrow morning, I should say, into the Boston area, much of Vermont, New Hampshire, really much of Massachusetts in general, could see at least a little bit of light snow tomorrow. Probably won't amount to much accumulation-wise, but a good start to the festive season. And tomorrow afternoon, more squalls of snow and now rain at this point. I know it's crazy. We just had the polar vortex dip down, but it is in and it is out of here, folks. By tomorrow, we're already warming up enough that only the higher elevations getting snow, lower elevations starting to get rain off the Great Lakes here for much of your Wednesday afternoon. And then even into, you could see overnight Wednesday into Thursday, still getting some of that banding coming off the Great Lakes. For some of us, rain, others, some good old-fashioned snowfall. So how much snow are we going to see to come out of this? Well, let's quickly take a look at some of the maps from the National Weather Service. This is their forecast, brand new. This is what they're predicting in terms of accumulation. Now, if you get flurries or a quick burst of light snow, you can still see that and not have anything show up on this map, so keep that in mind. But in terms of accumulation, a little bit to go in Erie, same for St. Mary's, maybe around an inch, around that in Jamestown, up here into northern, specifically northwestern Pennsylvania, but northeastern PA as well. Scranton could see a dusting upwards to an inch. Would not shock me over the next 48 hours, really the next 24 to be more specific. Heaviest snowfall totals to come, though, likely going to be up into New York, specifically into the Tug Hill, Watertown, 1 to 3 inches or so, Utica, 1 to 3. Same thing for Syracuse. More of a dusting or so in Ithaca, Binghamton, Albany, Saratoga Springs could see some snow, but right here into the Tug Hill, that's where the big totals are going to be, half a foot plus to go. Buffalo, around an inch, maybe an inch to 3 inches to go, depending exactly where you are. You know how these lake effect bands work. A mile one way could see not much of anything, a mile the other way could see a good couple of inches, and that's kind of the setup that we're dealing with. Pulled up into the Northeast and specifically up into New England. The I-95 corridor of New England, not really going to get much out of this. We could see maybe a dusting to half an inch or so in Bangor into Lewiston, or I believe Lewiston is how you say that, but you all obviously feel free to correct me, and sometimes you do, which I do not take to heart, so feel free to do that. Always love learning how you pronounce certain things up here. Rutland, maybe half an inch to an inch. Burlington, maybe an inch. The higher terrains, though, of Vermont and into upstate, or I should say northern New Hampshire. Maybe I'll call it upstate. Maybe you call it northern. Again, feel free to let me know. Could see some higher totals there on the higher terrains. The best of us getting still half a foot plus to go. Most of us a couple of inches, though, there into the high terrains of New England. All right, that's what's happening now, folks. After that, though, we're going to get a pretty big warm-up. Let's talk about why, and then let's talk about how long that warm-up could last before winter tries to claw its way back into the U.S. If you've tuned in at all over the past week, you'll know why it's cold right now. We've had this big Arctic trough work in, really a piece of the polar vortex, honestly. It's just we're not getting necessarily the sub-zero temperatures that we would get with a polar vortex shot in maybe, let's say, January or February. It's in and out of here, folks. So, I mean, notice it climbs right back up into the Northeast by this afternoon. The core of it now working all the way up into Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island. Early this morning and last night, the core of it was down into the Carolinas and Virginia, but you could see already lifting northward. It'll stay chilly in the Northeast, but by the middle of this week, a lot of orange, a lot of ridging builds into the United States and even tries to get into the eastern U.S. Now, some models still show shots of cooler air diving down into the Northeast, specifically over the next week or so. This could continue some lake effect snow, but outside of that, and maybe some high elevation snowfall, I'm not seeing any other notable snow in the eastern U.S. over the next 7 days. Then after that, the models really want to build this ridge into the eastern U.S., and it's a pretty long period of a lot warmer weather than we're seeing right now. Now, are there any storms to go with it is another question that's probably on your mind. Well, honestly, folks, maybe, but not in a big way. You could see the northwest flow continuing lake effect over the next couple of days, then a bit of a break, and here's another system that may try to get going. This is by this weekend. Here's Saturday, here's Sunday, but looks pretty wet, more than wintry. Could get some winter weather out of it into maybe New Hampshire, Vermont, and Maine, but even then, it's probably one of those systems that might start as winter weather and then end as rain. You could see there. Now, this model, the European model, almost wants to get a big nor'easter out of it, maybe upstate Maine and up towards the Canadian line. Could be a big storm for you, winter weather-wise, but still mainly rain for most of us watching. Then maybe another storm here around the 7 to 10 day range. This one looks to impact more people, but still quite wet. Now, again, the model blows it up into a big blizzard for the St. Lawrence River Valley of Canada. That would be a big deal for the Northeast wind and rain-wise, but not very heavy on the winter side of things. And obviously with that, you would expect temperatures to warm up, and that's what the models are showing as well, and what I agree with. Still got some of that cooler air now, but from here on out, notice the orange trying to work in, and yeah, little breaks from it, maybe another slight cool down by about 5 to 7 days from now. You can see some blue trying to work back in to the Northeast specifically. Could ooze down into the mid-Atlantic though, but all things considered, the model's showing that orange and that heat miser-like atmosphere holding on. Now, it might not be hot per se, but above average temperatures actually means pretty comfortable for this time of year, honestly. that looks to try to hold on all the way through Thanksgiving. But it's after Thanksgiving, going into December, I see the potential for the next big shot of winter weather, which could mean winter storms. It could mean another shot of the polar vortex. Obviously, a lot to figure out, but let me show you some of the data that is making me lean that direction. Well, obviously, one of the big things you hear about this time of year whenever forecasting winter weather is the polar vortex. I've already mentioned it in today's video, and it would help if I get this on the right screen so we can actually see what we're talking about. There we go. So this is a map. This is the European ensembles showing the U-wind anomaly. Man, you're probably thinking, Gerald, what in the world are you talking about? What is the U-wind and why should I care? Well, basically, if the line is at the top of this graph, that means the polar vortex is holding strong in the Arctic, and that means it's staying there. It's not breaking apart and moving different directions. When you start to get to more of these negative numbers, that's whenever we start to see maybe the chance of a stratospheric warming event, as we call it, or the polar vortex breaking down and sending little chunks of cold air down south. Now, here's the thing, folks, that's very important to know immediately with this. Just because the polar vortex breaks down and sends a shot of cold air doesn't mean it's sending it to where you are. It could send it down into Siberia. It could send it to Europe. It could send it anywhere. It could send it down into Canada and the United States. And that's what you want, obviously, if you want a big snow event, especially as far south as possible. Right now, we're pretty positive. We had a little dip in here. Obviously, that correlates with that what we saw just now, but now it's regaining strength a little bit. Right around here, this line, actually, let me go back. I believe if my dates are correct, right around here or so is Thanksgiving. Up to Thanksgiving, showing the potential for it to try to start breaking down, and especially going closer to the start of December. A lot of the models showing it getting into these negative values. Now, here's the thing. Here's 0. So you still got some members that have it on the positive side, but a lot on the negative, and either way, getting closer to that negative number. That's a good sign if you want winter weather. That's one thing I've got my eye on, again, towards Thanksgiving, especially after Thanksgiving into the start of December. Here's the other thing. The MJO looks to get into a favorable number right around this time as well. Here we are right now. We're right around the 10th and 11th. We're in phase 8 and phase 1. And that makes sense because we were just in phase 7 and 8. And those are the phases that you get big time winter weather usually in the central and eastern United States. And guess what we just had? Yeah, the big shot of cold air. Now we're going to be in a less favorable state now through right around here is Thanksgiving. You can see we're in this 3 and 4 column, or box, if you will. So yeah, warmer weather, less snowy. But as we get right here and into the middle of December, a lot of the models here showing, and this is the European, showing us getting into 6, 7, and 8. That's more favorable for winter weather. Again, December timeframe, really through the entire month of December is what this would be, and would hang on to that even into the first week of January. So that's a good sign for winter weather fans here in the eastern United States. We like to see that. Let's go ahead now and take a look at another metric, and that's the NAO. What is that, and what is that looking to do here over the extended period of time? Well, the NAO stands for North Atlantic Oscillation. That's the first thing to know. And then you want to know, well, what's the difference between a positive and a negative NAO? I don't have a map for positive, but I'll show you the negative. And found this online. I want to say it was North Georgia Weather and somebody else. If you just look up, though, NAO forecast, it's like one of the first links, so credit to them for this picture. But it's a great representation, so I'm going to show it. All right, so this is a negative NAO. This is what you want if you want winter weather in the United States. Basically, what happens is a big ridge builds in right near Greenland. You'll hear a lot of times whenever we have ridging in Greenland, that's a good sign. Also, if you get that combined with a favorable PNA, which is the Pacific version of this, there's also a ridge up into Alaska and Western Canada. What that creates is a buckle in the jet stream, and basically it creates a pathway of cold air to funnel down into the eastern United States. And often what we get with that is low pressure that tries to develop and kind of ride along that boundary, and we get big winter storms is usually what happens. So then the question becomes, do we have that on the way? Well, right now we're in a negative NAO. You can see right here on this chart, this line right here being 0. We're below it, so we're in a negative NAO phase right now, and that makes sense because, yeah, guess what? we just had this big shot of winter weather. See how all the pieces are starting to make sense? Well, the GFS at least here is predicting that now through around the end of the month, we're going to start to climb closer to positive, but still generally remaining negative. Now, you get big spread here towards the end. By the time we get to the start of December, some of the members have it even more negative than it is now. Some of them have it approaching positive territory. So still a lot to figure out here with the NAO, but if it can stay negative into December as well, then we'll be in luck, and you'll have a favorable NAO. You'll potentially have a favorable MJO. You'll have a favorable, potentially a polar vortex map here showing up. So a lot of signs showing December could be a really good winter weather month. There's been a lot of buzz on social media about it, and there's reasons for it. So some people might just say it to say it, but there's a lot of very bright-minded folks who are looking at all the data here, and I agree with them. I do think December could be a big month. But now through Thanksgiving, outside of some of that northwest flow snow up into the northeast, looking a lot warmer and less wintry. But we'll take that big shot of nice wintry weather that we got here to start off the month of November. And again, even had snow in Charlotte. So that's all I got for you today, folks. I will add this pretty, not certain, but high likelihood I won't have a video tomorrow. I've just got a really busy day. I've got a lot going on. So it's just not going to be easy to get a video out. Now that things are calming down a little bit anyway, I won't feel too bad about that if I don't. So just keep that in mind. Also, you can follow me on social media for the latest. We could potentially have some aurora over the next couple of days. So if you've got clear skies, that could be something to keep in mind. I'll try to keep you updated and send you to the right sources for that on social media. That's Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, all the fun ones, all linked down in the description. All right, y'all have a great one. Stay safe, and I'll see you all next time.